Hi
We're
guys.
back after a week-long break. We're here. It's 3 p.m. for me. What's the time over there, Meli?
5:20 in the morning.
I just wanted to state that and appreciate, just so you guys will appreciate our dedication to this podcast. Look at the harsh hours we're working. We're working 9 to 5, the musical on this. Um, but it's
Yeah.
great. But it's great because if you are watching, I hope you're having fun because this is really fun for us to make. And we apologize for the week-long break. Some stuff came up. I was doing production for a short film and that I'm very excited about. So maybe we'll even link it one day when the
hmm
final product on YouTube.
Absolutely. I think we should
We'll
just
see.
I think we should just jump right into movie news, huh?
Yeah, we have a lot to okay. Sorry, let's do the whole introduction. I'm Yoav Akiva,
I'm Melina Nazarian, and this
and this
is
is
one-on-one ratio podcast.
tonight or this morning, we're speaking about,
Beef.
yes, from 1981, directed by Michael Mann. That will be our feature presentation today. But
Yes, yes,
first, we have
yes.
to talk about what's happened in the last 2 weeks, film news-wise. And we'll try to go as fast as possible because a lot has happened.
Yeah.
What's your first note?
My first note is, well, we'll go backwards. We'll go oldest to newest. But
Okay, okay,
the
okay.
BAFTAs happened, guys. We got the
hmm
BAFTAs in. Um We got, I feel like a lot of the wins were kind of what we were expecting, obviously. But we got, I think the biggest surprise for me at least was the American fiction adapted screenplay win, which was pretty
Yeah.
like out of left field. I don't think people were really expecting that to get anything. But I told Yoav, I told him, I was like, this movie could win the Oscar. Well, for adapted screenplay. We'll see. But we got
What would it be going against?
like
Barbie, Killers,
Oppenheimer,
Oppenheimer. Yeah,
but we'll
that's the
we'll
biggie.
see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah, everything else kind of that was expected to win won, like Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of
Yep.
Interest,
A lot of
Emma
no, there were
Stone.
like surprising zone of interest wins. I remember watching the
Mhm.
Oscar experts going
Yeah,
crazy over that.
like for
Um,
sound or something.
yeah. I'm really looking forward to watching Zone of Interest next month. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and then
already in your location, it's already out, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because Ramona watched it
Yeah,
like
yeah,
two
yeah.
weeks ago. I don't
You're
know if I
right.
remember.
I still have to watch it. We'll see how it goes. I'm yeah, I don't want to make any um pre-assumptions for that category, but we'll
Mhm.
see. Yeah, and
We
then
will see.
obviously we know Killian Murphy won, so yeah.
Yeah, that race is mostly over,
I think
I would
so.
say. Um, there was a little Paul
Yeah.
Giamatti
We'll
sprinkle dinkle in there, but
we'll talk about that soon. Don't you worry, sir.
yeah, with the SAG as well.
hmm
Um, my first thing is Bong Joon-ho, our favorite. First of all, I didn't write this down, but Mickey 17 was officially delayed. Um, I don't remember if it was indefinitely or like till 2025 or something. Um,
2025.
very devastating news. But Bong Joon-ho is starting his next project, which will be an animated film about sea creatures. The production is supposed to be the most expensive Korean film ever made with a budget of $52 million,
Wow. The fact that
which is
that's the
nice.
most expensive Korean film
More
ever
right.
made is kind of funny.
In the US, we just go crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, might be sounds interesting.
I'm
I'd want to see
excited.
anything Bong Joon-ho makes about anything, but
Right.
yeah.
Um,
What's your next?
Next up, this one took Twitter by storm. Four separate biopic films are in the works about each member of the Beatles to all release
Mhm.
in theaters in 2027. Sam Mendes will direct each film, and It will be interconnected stories, one from each band member's POV. I think it's going to be very interesting. Um, I am I'm surprised that they're doing this, but I don't know
You
if
are
it'll.
you excited? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I do love the Beatles. I do like to listen to the
I love them
Beatles.
too. I love them too. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's
I'm
gonna
just
be.
like,
I don't know if they're gonna do justice. Now, I'm not like not that I'm like I don't particularly love like John Lennon and all that, you know.
right,
Um,
right.
but will they be able to do justice of the Beatles? Even pick actors who will be able to do justice to them. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I just feel like the Beatles have been tread beyond any measure
Yeah,
above
yeah.
every other celebrities. They have so many movies out that they made and
Mm-hmm.
movies made about them that it's insane. And now we're adding four more. We'll see. I mean, Sam Mendes, you got American Beauty, you got 1917 and Skyfall and all
You
that.
also got the bootleg of the 1992 Cabaret.
True.
Shout out to Zev for that.
Did he direct the
Yeah, he did.
bootleg of the 1992?
Well,
That's
it's
pretty
not,
cool.
it's only a
Well,
bootleg because it's,
another cool part of him, thing about him, speaking of bootleg recordings, is that he directed a adaptation of Stephen Sondheim's Company with an all black cast, I believe.
hmm,
So that was
it's
pretty
cool.
cool. Um,
Your
at
next
the
note,
Delmar
sir?
warehouse. Um, I'll go through this really fast because we got Criterion announcements last month and they were very, very exciting. The first thing was A Story of Floating Weeds and Floating Weeds by Yasujiro Ozu. Not particularly one of his famous some of his famous movies, but they're relatively known along with all of Ozu's films as great movies, and they're very old. Um they're part of his older canon of works. 1934 he made A Story of Floating Weeds, and in 1959 he remade it as Floating Weeds. So they're just the two versions of the movie, and I love the cover art that they made for this. And this was already in the collection. So yeah. Peeping Tom directed by Michael Powell is a classic, very famous movie about voyeurism and obsession and violence. And it's getting a 4K restoration. It was actually already restored by a different company, so there's a little bit of a scandal because again, Criterion just repackages restorations that were already made with famous movies and that have great UK releases. Why can't they just whatever? Um, Something that excited me the most about these announcements were the three revolutionary films by Osmane Sembin. I really hope I didn't butcher that too much. He is a one of the most famous African filmmakers of all time. He directed Black Girl, which is a very, very famous movie, and they're releasing this trilogy of films. I love the packaging, and these films look very, very interesting. I will be checking them out soon. Another great thing, Anatomy of a Fall came out, which I guess is some kind of like also like publicity cool thing that they
I
did,
thought it was
kind of
Neon.
neon.
They
Yeah.
have the thing with Neon, the deal.
No, I was just saying it's like bring attention to the movie either
Oh,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's,
But
I will say though,
Anatomy of a Fall. You've seen it, I haven't.
yeah, the poster that they picked for that, the poster they could have picked
No one liked it. No. It's kind of mid.
is
There's so
very
much you
mid.
could do with this kind of movie. And they chose. Well, it's just cool. It's getting a Blu-ray release on Criterion, and you've seen the
Hmm.
movie. You can tell me if it's worth it or not. But
So worth it.
um, I'm very excited to check that out before the
Yeah,
Oscars. And they're it's getting a Blu-ray release and not a 4K. Why not? Why are we not getting more 4Ks for newer movies? Why is Poor Things only releasing with the Blu-ray?
I know, right? I know. It
Sorry.
pisses me off.
Um, because Disney is in charge of the whatever. Karin Kasama's directorial debut, I believe, Girl Fight, is releasing, which is about a woman that is bullied by her father. and she like runs away from home or something. I'm not really sure, but the director obviously directed Jennifer's Body, which might come out in the collection sometime soon if they already talked to her about this. We'll see. Might be interesting.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
So those are the announcements.
Yeah. Those are a hot minute ago at this point, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, Next piece of news, this is my last piece of news, is the SAG Awards happened from us 2 days ago, Saturday. And for y'all, I don't know when it'll be, but SAG Awards, basically what's crazy is that Lily Gladstone won the SAG Award for Best Actress and Cillian Murphy won the SAG Award for Best Actor, which is very telling, especially with Cillian Murphy, is very telling that
Mhm.
like it's pretty much at this point, I think, a lock that he's gonna win the Oscar. I
But with
think,
Lily,
but with Lily, now it's like Lily versus now it's really Lily versus Emma Stone. Because if Emma Stone
yeah,
won the SAG, I would have been like, that's it, it's over for Lily. But no, 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 no. She won, which means she might very well win the Oscar. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen.
we'll see. I'm scared to be honest. Guys, you know me. I'm rooting for Emma. My
I
bad.
I honestly am like, I don't really care. Like I'm okay
Like
with
I'll be
either
super
actress
happy if
winning.
Lily wins. I'll be super happy if Lily wins. I just will vote for anything, poor things.
Yeah,
And Emma Stone specifically is like the driving force of the movie.
of course, of
And I just
course.
love her performance and what she does. It like more intrigued me than what Lily did, but she really did
Mhm,
something special with her role in Killers of the Flower Moon, so I'll be happy either way. I'll
mhm,
speed through really fast. Christopher Nolan to direct a horror film might be cool.
mhm.
Um, Tom Cruise is to star in Alejandro González Iñárritu's new film, which
Yes.
is such an interesting collaboration. Tom Cruise has collaborated with so many famous directors, and he's not a favorite actor of mine at all.
No,
So,
sorry, I just want to say that
but he's in so much.
I forget that Tom Cruise used to work with like very esteemed directors.
Kubrick and Coppola and like actually I don't know if Coppola. What am
PTA,
I talking about?
he's done PTA.
PTA. Um, and American Psycho will be remade by Lionsgate, which is so
Why?
stupid. Why do we need to remake
Why?
this movie?
Why? Why? That just makes me so mad. As someone who has read the book, watched the movie, like,
You're a
why?
fan.
I'm not like a fan. It's just like like why would you need to remake it? The movie was made in like 2000s. Christian Bale, like it's like perfect. Like you don't need to change anything or make it modern. You can't make it
That's
modern.
like remaking another round. Oh wait.
Oh,
It's like remaking Moana. Oh wait.
yeah.
Why?
Only remakes now in
For
Hollywood.
what?
Really
For
annoying.
what, guys? No one wants to. American Psycho is still all has always been like since as far as I remember, one of the most famous movies and most talked about movies of our age,
Yeah.
and also is always on the chart for most rented movies on iTunes.
Yeah.
Always.
Like
I've just forever remembered that it being there. Why do we need a new one?
you can't remake the
Anyways,
movie. Oh,
for
okay.
what? Without Christian Bale, who's playing? Do we have word as who's playing
No,
who's
we
playing the
don't.
Psycho?
And whoever they choose to play the psycho is going to be awful. Like,
Yeah.
how are you supposed to not only recreate Christian Bale's performance, but also recreate Willem Dafoe's performance? Because if y'all know, you
Exactly.
know,
And I bet it's gonna be a male director this time.
probably, which
We'll
is why it'll
see.
suck.
Um, so it's also been a great week when it comes to what we watched this week because
Yes,
Meli
yes.
had some interesting adventures in movie going, and
Hmm.
I did as well. But I just want to hear from her first because I know some
Okay,
cool
I'm gonna
stuff
speed
went
through
on.
these as well
Okay.
because a lot of them are like I just rewatched stuff.
Mhm.
So I kicked off my week by watching Crash, rewatched Crash. Um,
Oh, which one?
oh,
I
sorry,
was
the
gonna ask because then I was
1996
like,
one
that's
directed
a
by
stupid
David.
question.
Yeah,
Why would she watch?
yeah. Um, so good. Love that movie.
I need to watch it, and I know it will apply to like all of my tastes in film. I'm just scared. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a
Yeah,
little
it
bit of a
definitely like
weak-willed guy in this
yeah, I
department.
definitely think like it is a pretty freaky movie, so make
I
sure
think it's one of
you're
the things that you're gonna have to force me to watch through the podcast because on my
really
own, I don't know if I can stomach it.
you
Just
can
like
definitely
choosing to
stomach
watch.
it.
I don't know. I'm just scared.
We'll
Sorry,
see.
continue.
Anyways, then I watched the Pedro Almodovar short film Strange Way of Life, and that was just so bad. It was so
Everyone
bad.
stopped speaking about that. What
Yeah.
happened to it?
It's because it's really bad. That's why people stopped talking about it.
We were so excited though.
hmm it
Why?
was
What was bad about it?
everything. The acting, the production design, everything about it was just bad. The writing, just bad. Just
Okay.
everything about it was bad.
Bad production design in an Almodovar movie is crazy.
Like it was just so it was too modern.
I see. Penelope Cruz is sorry, why did I say Penelope Cruz? What am I talking about?
I don't
Parallel
know.
Mothers.
Okay.
Um, his last film was very close to being a masterpiece for me. I loved it with a
hmm
passion, so I don't know where he fell.
The
Damn
story is
shame.
where he fell. That's what happened.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
so.
yeah. Anyways, next I watched The Iron Claw, sobbing, crying, throwing up. So good. So good,
I'm
guys.
so excited. I've been meaning to watch that. Me and my friend have been talking about wanting to watch this for so long, but we didn't go to the theaters and then it's on iTunes now and we're just gonna have to watch it now.
It's so
So
good. Oh my God. I just yeah, I get it. I get the hype. Then I rewatched Little Miss Sunshine. Great
right,
comfort film. I
right.
watched American Fiction.
How was
It's
it?
a cute movie, but it's not Oscar worthy in my opinion, like especially not
I've
Best Picture.
Yeah, but I was talking about this today. A lot of people argue to um lower the amount of slots for the best picture nominees. Um and I would get behind that because stuff like Maestro, American Fiction this year, I don't know. Do we
Yeah,
need it there? No.
no, we don't.
But
We
then
don't.
like if I had to narrow it down to seven nominees, I don't know what I would take out except for American. I've been hearing a lot of comparisons between American Fiction and Spike Lee's sorry, Bamboozled. So
Yes, definitely have comparisons there. However, Bamboozle does it so much better. Let's just put it that way.
makes sense. Even
Like,
though that movie's not
mhm,
technically amazing.
yeah, it's not, but American Fiction to me is like so like it just like the audience it panders to is like I
Sorry,
don't
my dad
know.
walked in.
Oh, it's okay. I just feel like the
Surprise
audience it pander.
cameo.
Wait, did he pop up behind the door? Oh.
You missed it.
Oh. I feel like in the movie they're talking about like the audience that his book is for, and it's like white women and like white people, and I feel like this movie is like the same type of thing, but maybe the movie's pandering to that audience to let them hear the message instead of whatever. Um,
I feel like definitely Bamboozled wasn't going for a generally white audience.
I don't think so.
Just because it's not gonna hold your hand
No, it's not.
in
This one
anything
definitely
or
holds your
anyone that
hand.
isn't. Yeah. Well, for Bamboozle, it's just not gonna hold your hand, and for anyone that's not accustomed to the most disgusting dark sides of
hmm
racism and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, and then I have three movies left. We're gonna rapid fire them. I
Okay.
rewatched Triangle of Sadness. I'll probably be rewatching it again
Bleh.
this week.
Bleh.
Um, I don't
Bleh.
hate the movie, okay? I don't
Yeah.
think it's that bad. I
No, I
just
was saying, but
no, no,
why
I
I
know
said
why. I know
bleh.
why. Also, I love Harris Dickinson. I want to marry Harris Dickinson, so that's just that.
Makes sense.
Um,
Makes sense.
then I watched Chicago, the movie musical that
The
won the
movie.
Best Picture
Yeah.
in 2003, and it was
Best picture
mid.
worthy.
No.
Oh. Oh. Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, why won't
Yeah.
you?
And then the most important one is that I watched Firewalk with Me in theaters. because I finished Twin Peaks and so I watched Fire Walk with Me and it was such an amazing experience and I am
It's the best.
beyond baffled and shocked that I David Lynch even made a movie like that. I'm just wow.
It's really one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, no, it literally
Really
is like
is.
oh, it's good.
It's not,
So good.
it's not gonna leave your mind for a
No, it
while.
it definitely
If
won't.
you're still thinking about it, it'll stick there. I've been thinking about it for years now.
For
So,
years, yeah.
um, masterpiece, scary, terrifying, beautiful work of art.
Yoav, now it's your turn.
Um, okay, I'll speed through mine as well. Oh, what did she do? I continued watching my Joan Nicholas Silver binge with a movie called Bernice Bobs Her Hair, starring Shelley Duvall. It's a TV film based on not an Ella Fitzgerald. Um, you know that guy.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
It's Gerald, not
Short
Gerald.
film. Fitzgerald. And it was pretty good. I like Joan Silver very much.
Nice.
Then I watched a movie which was all. Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, where? How did I get here in my life? Because it's like sometimes I watch things from the Criterion Collection. I'm like, dude, I watch the most insane things, and it's just casual for me. But Grey's Anatomy stars Spalding Gray, who you might recognize as the mayor from True Stories. And the whole
Hmm,
movie is just one long monologue from this guy. And the film's directed by Steven Soderbergh. And he doesn't get up or anything. It's not like a stand-up show. He's sitting behind a desk the whole film. And it somehow manages to keep your attention because this guy is so enthusiastic. But it's also one of the strangest and darkest things you'll ever watch. I thought it was
interesting.
great, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like, I don't know. It's full on YouTube if you want. Then I watched something that is like it I want to say life changing. One of the biggest achievements in film I've ever seen. Um, it's from 1971. It's a film called The Emigrants. Um, I don't know how to describe how you would love this because this applies to a lot of your sensibilities in film. It's about a family of Swedish immigrants immigrating to the US, and it is 3 hours long. There's a sequel which I haven't seen yet. It's brutal, it's uncomfortable, but it's also beautiful, and it's just everything. And it's not talked about enough, and it's really, 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 really good. And it stars Liv Ullmann and Max von Sydow of Ingmar Bergman movie fame.
Yes.
And it's just everything. This movie's everything. I'll probably be watching it. Then I watched one of the saddest things I've ever seen, Midnight Cowboy from 1969, a very famous X-rated Best Picture winner, about a prostitute and his pimp.
Yep.
But like it's not really like that. And I don't I that's not even an accurate descriptor of what's going on here because it's Midnight Cowboy. Like you should watch it, you know?
I
And
know. It's been
there's a song in it that I haven't been able to get out of my head and I've been listening to on loop for a while.
mm,
Then I watched Thief, and then I watched this movie called Bethlehem, which was very great, and then a documentary called The Imposter, which is on Netflix that I guess I would recommend. Everyone from my film class really enjoyed it, but I wasn't the biggest fan. Maybe just because I'm a stupid hater, but
it's
I was
okay.
against.
We can be haters.
Yeah, so that's what I
Awesome.
watched.
That is awesome,
Should we
awesome.
should we should we get to it? Should we do it?
Yeah, we should do it. Hell
Guys, the
yeah.
build up for this movie has been insane. From me at least. Like I've been hyping up this movie ever since I met Meli
Yes, that's
practically.
true. That's true.
I'm so excited to get to this. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. We're gonna go rob a bank and then we'll be back.
All right.
Just kidding. Don't call the police on us.
Excuse me.
Unless.
Excuse me.
Okay,
Oh, but
we'll be back. We just got back
we
from
we're done.
we're done,
We're
guys.
done thieving.
We're rolling in that dough.
We're rolling in that dough, as you can see. I I'm the wind blowing the money away because we don't need money. We get enough income from this podcast.
We make mills,
We make
millions,
mills, bills,
bills.
billion. Does bills is that how you shorten billion? Billies. We make
We make
billies.
billies.
Little Billy. Um, welcome to our discussion, Jesus,
I'm
of the
okay.
1981 Michael Mann film Thief, starring James fucking Caan, with two A's. One of my favorite actors. I like seeing him in everything. He's really good. Um,
He's
I've
so.
seen. Say it. What were you
I'll
gonna
say. I'll
say?
say it later. I'll say it later.
Um, I've seen this movie thrice now, so I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on. But I was very excited for Meli to check this out because it's really that good in my opinion. Um, and what that should we just go into it? Should we just go into it? Okay,
Yes, I
do
think
you
we should.
do you want me to start like the conversation or like
Let
how
me
do you want to
take it
handle it?
away. Let me
Okay,
take it
you
away.
so you're thieving the microphone from me. You
Yes,
will grab. Okay.
I'm gonna yank it from you. My first note, guys. First of all, I okay. My first note is about the opening music per usual. I think usually that's what
Mhm.
happens in this podcast. We talk about the opening visuals or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Guys, that opening music was just crazy. The music throughout this movie is
yeah,
just crazy. But like,
yeah.
and I'm gonna touch more upon that later, and the
Okay.
use of sound and music and everything. But
Yeah,
I think just like it really starts off with a bang, this one.
yeah. So Tangerine Dream, who is the German electronic music band, which did the um famous soundtrack for this, have released remastered recordings of the soundtrack if you want to check it out on
I
Apple Music
will
and
be
Spotify,
adding them to my
because it's really
playlist.
fun. It's really fun. The only thing that sucks is that it doesn't the album doesn't include I've reached a turning point in my life, which is this song the little band plays in the middle there.
Hmm.
um and then there's like a whole thing about it, and I wish it was available because I really like the vibe of it, but it's okay because the musical score here is crazy and famous and makes the movie what it is. um I will start even earlier with the title card, as I usually do. I love the font choice for this film. I love it. Everything about the font, it just feels like a brand, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like a brand. It's like thief,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I want that
Yes.
on clothing. You know what I mean? We should get that rolling. Um, so yeah, I do love the title card and font choice, and obviously the music. When the music kicks in, it kicks in, and it really never stops
No, it does
till
not.
the end of the movie. Um, but yeah, what were you thinking? Because it starts with this sequence of him, and you're like, oh, where is this going? What were you thinking?
Well, I think like I mean like the fact that I knew that he was like a robber, like a
A
thief,
thief. Right.
um, kind of like
Take a
how
shot every time we say thief.
yeah, you will die. So maybe I don't know.
Oh,
We'll see.
well,
Um, no, going into it knowing that he's a thief obviously like helped me
yeah.
understand the opening scene and like
Right.
what he's
Right.
doing. Um, but even then, it's like really interesting to I guess kind of see that first aspect of his life because you see many aspects of who he is and his philosophy of life, which we'll talk
Yeah.
about later. But it's interesting to kind of I guess see that. And like I guess starting with that part of him kind of shows that obviously like it's a really big part of his identity. Like he
That's
is
where
the
we
thief.
start. That's where we start the movie in that mode. and we
Mm-hmm.
kind of end it in that mode as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I guess I'll get to the meanings of this pacing and the framing of this whole thing because it's way more deep than the surface level, in my opinion, when it
of
comes to his
course.
character.
Yeah.
Like everything. I actually want to start after that scene. Well, obviously you get all of the nighttime Chicago car, like yes,
Yeah, my my
everyone
my
knows.
my little one-liner was like, "Okay, Chicago." Like I love the little
Okay,
accents.
Chicago. I visited there once
I'm
in
going
my
to Chicago,
career.
guys,
When?
in April.
Oh, look at that. You should visit the what movie theaters? There's like a really famous movie theater there. I'll check it. I'll send you.
Really?
I'll send you.
Maybe I'll
Yeah,
pop
like
by.
like in our house film. Um, so I wanted to go past that for a second, unless you have another thing.
Nope, go ahead, sir. Take it
Um,
away.
I want to talk about the conversation he has after that scene with the fisherman,
Okay.
um, who is fishing for mackerel. And first of all, one of the most beautiful shots in the film, in my opinion, is you get this frontal shot of him and the fisherman, and you don't see the scene, the sea that they're facing until like about a minute into the conversation, when they notice it themselves, how beautiful their surroundings are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this 180-degree turn, and we see the sea, and it's this beautiful pink view, and it's so different than all of the color scheme of this movie. And it really stands out. So he's a thief, and that's what the first thing we learn about him. We don't learn about any personal life, any work, anything, you know.
Right.
He goes to work later, but here's on his way to work, and all we know about him is that this man is a thief, and he talks to the fisherman, and the fisherman, you know, is a job, someone that has a very simple, leads a very simple life, and does all he does is fishes and makes money out of it. And sometimes business is bad, sometimes it's not dependable, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of mirroring the thievery, but it's a much simpler life. And I think that's when that kind of gets to him, I would say. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like only one of the examples in the story of different routes that this man could have taken in his life and different approaches to occupation and all that. And the way he chooses and the way he chooses to live his life is much different than this fisherman. And it's just one example that the movie gives you of what this guy could have been.
Right.
Um, and then he goes to be his car salesman right after. But I just think that's a really interesting
Mm-hmm.
scene. What were you thinking? Because it stands out in my opinion.
What was I thinking? Okay, well, I think to kind of like piggyback off of what you're saying, it's um and what you were saying about like him choosing to like picking car salesmen,
Yeah,
I think is honestly pretty fitting for someone who is a thief. Because
yeah,
what you usually associate car salesmen with people who tend to be flashy, who tend to wear nice clothes, who tend to show off. So I think the fact that he chose that as as like a facade career,
yeah.
um,
Facade career that also makes a lot of money.
yeah, it works in his favor because you're not going to question it. Like if he ended up becoming a fisherman and like was doing all that and he was wearing the things he was wearing, and the accessories and the clothes, like you're going to question it. You're going to be like, okay, how did you afford that ring? How did you
Yeah,
afford that watch? But being a
yeah,
car salesman, no one questioned it. His own girlfriend,
yeah,
wife didn't question it. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's like this man is like an anomaly. He's so interesting.
Yeah,
He's
he is
so
a very, very interesting character. He goes through an entire journey here. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll get into it.
mhm.
What was the next thing he wrote?
But no, not next scene, but next just short little like note was just I love the colors, obviously. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at Yoav's. Like the colors in this like remind me a lot of one of Taxi Driver. Very vibrant, very bright. the colors of the city.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that. So I just want to, I don't know who did the lighting design and all that, and the
It's a
it's
really
beautiful.
good looking movie. And we talk about a lot of visually stunning movies on this podcast, but I think this has some of the most inventive cinematography. When it comes to what we've talked about so far, it's not that high of a budget film,
No.
but it gets away with so much with this camera work. There's some shots. I was watching this with a friend, and every once in a while I turned to him and I was like, I have no idea how they shot this film. I like there's some shots where I was like, is that practical effects? How did they get the camera into the little hole where you put the screw in?
Right? Like
Like what
crazy.
what?
Crazy.
I have no idea. I have no insight. Um But basically, he does this job, and someone picks up the money, and he gives the diamonds he stole to the person, and he's waiting to get his money. But the person that got their money killed himself, and some other guy took thieved the money off the guy that killed the body of the guy that killed himself, and so now he has to go. Such a mess in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not the major conflict of the film, but you're getting into like I love how it gets into the nitty-gritty and the logistics of how they're trying to get the money and what places he has to go to pick up this. It all feels so like specific, you know what I mean?
Very
So he picks up,
complicated.
yeah. So but the movie does a great job of helping you track what's going on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
Okay. Um, but he picks up a phone call from a bar, not
Yes.
from his home or anything. He's clean, organized. He doesn't talk about work in public. He's a very careful man,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll learn more about him later. But
Yeah.
that's like what I was taking note of. Like the locations he goes to, the people he meets is very specific, and I love this screenplay because it works so hard um to teach us things about this character slowly and carefully, but also in the most entertaining way possible
Mm-hmm.
for this kind of film. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, do you want to go next, or because I don't know if you have something.
go ahead. I don't have that much notes about this movie really.
Okay,
I
yeah,
was just
neither.
enjoying my
Yeah.
enjoying my life.
Yeah. I do my next note is the diner scene, and I think we should talk about that.
Yeah. Which one?
The one where he's with his girlfriend.
The one oh, okay, wait. Hold on. Hold your horses.
That yeah,
Hold
okay,
your
that's why
horse.
I was saying, do you have anything
He goes
else?
into this guy's office. I am the last guy in the world that
Oh,
you want to fuck with.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah.
line so much, and I love his like awkward exit from I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
No,
And like
because
in that, sorry
no. Go,
in
please
that
continue.
in that scene there's no music and it
Mm-hmm.
stands out and Michael Mann does a really good job of putting the music in specific places and maintaining silence in the most tense moments, and I love his use here, and then obviously his use of silence in the climax of the film is something else, but this is like a precursor to what's going to happen, and I love this scene where he goes in and screams at the guy and
Yeah,
makes sure he has his money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you would look at him and then you wouldn't necessarily think that like he's gonna like if I just saw him like walking down the street, I wouldn't necessarily think like, oh yeah, like this guy could kill
Yeah.
people and like
Yeah.
all that stuff. So like the fact that he is so scary and so menacing is it's impressive,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's a killer, but kind of.
Well,
Have you read The Kite Runner?
you've told me you
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. No.
Oh no. It's one of my favorite books, and the theory that one of the characters have is that thievery is the biggest sin. is
Mm,
is the only sin that you should worry about, because when you kill someone you rob them of your life. When you attack someone, there's this whole, if you read the book you would know, but it's
mm-hmm.
kind of associates every sin with the major sin in life, which is stealing. And there's no, and that's the
Mm,
worst thing you can do according to the thesis of the character of the father in the Kite Runner. And I think that really
interesting.
applies to this. And I love, there's so much focus on thievery, and the title of the movie is Thief, and this guy is a thief and all that. And I just think it's really interesting when it comes to which actions, which sins are you committing, and how are you committing them, and how it all boils down to your morals and your way of life,
Hmm.
and how nothing matters to this character at the end, at the beginning and at the end of the day. Nothing
Yeah,
matters to him.
right.
Not in the middle. Not in the middle. Stuff matters to him in the middle. But the way his approach to life and how that associates with this major sin, I do partially agree with the thesis of Baba from the Kite Runner when it comes to thievery, and it's a very agreeable. I don't know. I just thought that was an interest. That was something I was thinking about.
No, I like that a
Um,
lot.
yeah, so Frank begins his journey a mix up with money that was picked up from a dead body, his and his partner's money. Okla calls for him. Something has
Yes,
changed. Okay, Okla is dying.
yes.
And we don't really know who Okla is, but it's just interesting.
Well,
The scummy police.
we know from that scene alone though that it's he's someone important to
Yeah.
why
Of
am I
him
forgetting his
opening.
name?
Oh, Frank,
Right,
of
thank you.
him
Thank you.
opening the note that Okla gives him. And the
Mm-hmm.
scummy police officers are introduced. There's this whole money exchange scene which I love so much. From afar, you're getting so many different perspectives at once, because just the way this is shot is so interesting. The scummy police officers are watching from afar, but
Mm-hmm.
Frank's partner is also watching from a shotgun
Yep,
lens from
yep.
above. And just the way they separate those two, there's three different, and then they're down there. So the way they do the medium shots and the extreme longs, and like the exchange between these, it's such a dance, it's such a music. I love. I pay attention to this scene every time because the interaction is shot so perfectly. Man expresses like I said, three different perspectives, and introduces these characters so carefully and skillfully. And I love how the police officers are introduced, and obviously all this is shot on location, and Chicago looks beautiful. um and so he talks to this guy, and he's like, I'll be your father. Money, drugs, cars, I'll be your father. So much like verbal foreshadowing. And Frank is a man with daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
So there's constant people trying to fill in that space for him.
Yep.
Um and then he goes back, and he forgot about his date with Tuesday Weld, who I love her. I love her performance, by the way. What were you thinking about Tuesday Weld? Because they're both
She's
like elderly actors, like
yeah.
kind of elderly, like
I mean,
middle-aged,
yeah.
you know.
She's so cute.
She is very cute.
I loved her character. I thought like she was like the anchor that like brought him like back down to earth and
Totally.
what I really loved about this movie was that like yes, like he is obviously a dangerous man. The stuff he does is scary and dangerous and the people he works with are scary and dangerous and he
Yeah.
could die at any moment. But what I love is the fact that yet like he still will come back to her. Like it's not like any other kind of like crime gangster movie
Yeah.
where it's like the men are like constantly like they're being disgusting towards their wives, they're beating
Yeah.
them, they're cheating on them. Like no. I really liked how it showed that at the end of the day, he loves his wife, he loves his
Yeah.
woman, and he will respect her. Like
Well, what I also love, do you hear the screaming in the background? I'm sorry about that.
I don't hear
Um,
screaming, no.
that's not no one's being killed at my house. If you guys hear that on the track, I don't know who's screaming, but someone's having an argument. Um, so I also love her character, and I love how fleshed out she is. I feel like I don't know if it's just her performance, but or also the script, but she just has distinct choices for everything that just feel really real. Um, but he forgets their date, so he goes to the bar, and then he has to pull her out, and there's a really uncomfortable he pulls her out for why is he so aggressive? It's a really uncomfortable scene. But what's interesting is this whole scene where he's trying to grab her out of the bar, and everyone's trying to stop him from being violent towards her. There's this soundtrack, and I mentioned this song earlier, where this man is repeating, the singer is repeating, I've reached a turning point
Mm-hmm.
in my life. You know, he's saying, I've reached a turning point in my life. I've reached a turning point in my life. It's this repeat. I've reached a turning point in my life. Lord, Lord, Lord. You know, this song's really a really interesting choice because he's pulling her out of this bar, and he's, you know, found someone and he wants to get along with, like he said, with this big romance,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is a really
yeah.
funny um and he's trying to tell her, and he's kind of reached a turning point in his life. Things are changing. Okla is
Mm-hmm.
sick. He's found this love. He's starting this new deal with a man, and I just think that's such an interesting song. And then he goes into the car and tells her, I'm a thief. What do you think I do? And she's like, you sell little fucking cars. That's what you do. And he's like, I'm a thief. And he tells her, anyway, so that's the whole thing. That's like the glue before this diner scene, which is my personal favorite scene in the movie. So please
I
go ahead.
well, I want to know what you think about it, but I just really like how this is, I guess, the first one of our first introductions, I guess, to his like his psyche, I
Yeah.
guess, and like who he is under all of that, who he is under that exterior shell that he's built for himself, like as of now, like we've only really seen him like in the in his like work setting
Yeah.
and like his very like macho, like I have to put on a hard
Yeah.
front because obviously like in the field of work that he does, of course he has to put on that hard front. um but the diner scene is like our first glimpse and introduction to like who he is underneath that and like what he has to offer. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's where he talks about um his philosophy of living life,
Yeah.
correct? Yep, yep,
Yeah, he talks
yep.
about his time in prison and all.
Mm-hmm.
I I love it. It's almost 15 minutes long.
Yes, it
And
is.
it's
I
not
I
something
actually like
you'd
timed it.
find. Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's not something you'd find. How long did it end up being?
it was about 15 minutes.
It's not something you'd find in a conventional action or thriller movie even. It's
Mm-hmm.
a very dialogue, drama, romance kind of thing. And I love their dialogue, and it's so, you know, people don't really talk like this, but it's real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really like, it's such an interesting way of speaking that they speak to each other. It's just very idiosyncratic, and I love that in the best movies. The writing is specific, and this isn't your conventional action heist flick. Here's a long ass conversation in a diner. Here we are learning about these characters, these dialogues. They're so intricately written, and I just love this diner scene, especially always backstory and her backstory about how he doesn't care about anything anymore, and he's reached that mental state, but stuff will start meaning again, and it's partially through Tuesday Wells' character. And there are things in life that he still cares for, and he will only reach this attitude again at the very end of the film,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the line, he's still this man that doesn't care about anything, kind of. But it's kind of muddy, and it's introduced here, this idea of his philosophy and this
Mm-hmm.
little paper he has of all of his life summed up in one thing. I think that's a very interesting symbol. Um,
Well,
so
it's
yeah.
it's so interesting to me that like he was telling the story and then he was kind of just like, and then I walked back into the the main, whatever you call it, in prison. um and he was like, I just realized that like it doesn't matter. And I think it was I just think it's so interesting, like the way that he kind of thinks about life is almost like he's like everything is just like like a social construct, like
Yeah, it's one of those
everything.
guys.
Yeah, like everything is just like made up, like. And the way that that thought process is carried on to the real life, is it healthy? I don't think it's
No,
very
not
healthy.
really.
Not really, yeah,
No.
not necessarily healthy.
No.
Um, but I think it's, I don't know, like the more it's like we get through it and we're going through it, and it's like you can tell that like maybe some of this thought process is wearing off. Maybe he starts
Yeah.
to actually like move against it, and then it starts to really come back into effect, and like you can tell that it kind of ebbs and flows with like how seriously he will take this philosophy he's made for himself.
But what I love is just how full of contradictions this movie is because he says this and then he acts differently. And
Mhm.
you would expect this narrative to be a kind of similar narrative to what happened to him in prison, where,
Yeah.
you know, this plot simmers up and then something happens and just nothing happens. But it does end in a big explosion, and he carries that out
Yes.
because he's going against it because he won't fall for it and he won't let everything stay normal. But this kind of push and pull of like nothing matters, something happens, I think suddenly everything will matter, but then it doesn't again. Kind of happens to his character just inversely because he starts the movie thinking that nothing matters and then stuff starts mattering for him and then he goes back out to the prison yard
Mhm.
thinking that everything will continue to matter, but nothing matters again.
Mhm.
It's such a paradoxical like push and pull like inverse reaction that's going on constantly in this movie, and it's just so I just love it. I just love how it's carried out.
Yeah.
um and then they try to get Okla out of prison with the whole lawyer thing. I My favorite tidbit that I love about this movie is that thing where how the judge and the lawyer communicate to each other. Do you notice that? Oh, I
Uh,
love this.
Elaborate?
Where he's like, did you notice this?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
So I
Oh.
picked up on this only the second time I was watching it, but they're always like when the lawyer, because the lawyer is buying out the judge, and so the actor, it's like blink and you'll miss it, but the actors start going like, and he's like counting, they're basically haggling about how much money he's gonna pay the judge. And then one of the guys is like, "What are they doing? Picking their nose up there?" But you can see how he's going four,
Okay.
no three, no four, no two.
Okay.
It's so I just love I just love that
That's
detail.
so that's so cool. I didn't even
That's the
yeah, I
kind
didn't
of
even pick up
thing
on
that
that.
makes me so happy about movies like this. How you
Yeah.
could watch it and be like, "Oh, that is another very, very specific thing that you had to have thought through." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? To make
Mhm.
such a cool screenplay like this. So yeah.
Um, what's your next thing? Because my next note jumps to when they're at the adoption facility.
Um, they get the house, right?
Mhm.
And there's that scene. Well, there's that scene with him and her at the fireplace,
Mhm.
which I thought was very interesting because, and this is where it comes because I said when I chose this after we talked about Barry Lyndon that there's some kind of connection. There's a zoom out here that's very, very long and kind of reminded me of the emptiness effect that they did in Barry Lyndon, where
Right.
he has this life with this woman, but we're slowly drawn away from him and the goodness of that life through the zoom, because at the end of the day, nothing means nothing for him. He could be killed at any moment. He's chased by the police. They're so cute in their home, but everything is temporary. And I love this slow, silent, again, the use of silence
Yes.
zoom out. And my
Yes.
friend pointed out how they're sitting next to a fire, and fire and slash explosions is a big symbol and piece of imagery in the movie.
Mhm.
And how things are exploded and burned into flames, is very interesting. And it's like this fire that as we zoom out is getting, smaller and closer to them
Yeah.
because we're being withdrawn away from them and their life is about to burn up,
Oh
and
yeah.
all this visual foreshadowing. And I just love that zoom. Yeah, so yeah, they go to an adopted center, which is a very interesting scene.
So I kind of like I just wrote down like so obviously like they're not gonna let him adopt because of his criminal history, and like he's getting very worked up about it. And I just like kind of was saying how like it says like it's so messed up because this is like a lot also about like I guess like society too, and just like how it's so messed up that they won't like that the way the system is set up, um, and how like it doesn't necessarily allow for people who had like past criminal history or like experiences to like
Yeah.
be able to really, I guess, be like fully normal person in society again because of like the setup and the rules like this. And I think that's also kind of why he still goes along with his philosophy because he kind of knows that like because of what he's done in the past, like he can't fully 100% be seen as like a normal human again, like a normal
Yeah.
person. And so like and you can just tell that he wants to like raise a kid and like prevent them from experiencing, I guess, the same childhood that he has. And he wants to like save a kid from that fate. But he's just met with like judgment and like ridicule from everybody else, and like the worker looks at him like she's like almost like disgusted with him, and everyone in the office is like staring at him, and it's just like it's just
I
so
think it's cool.
interesting.
I think it's cool when he's like, "You're from the suburbs, right?"
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. Um, which is just, yeah, it's sad, really. And like he kind of his anger is kind of justified because usually in movies like this you'll be like, oh, the male is like breaking down again and like
No, but
having this
no,
whole masculine upset
but
thing.
it's so
But this
interesting
is
because he's
special.
having a masculine upset over wanting to adopt a kid. Like, you don't necessarily see stuff like that in these
I
types of
Yeah,
movies,
yeah.
which
In
was
general, I
cool.
think these characters are different a little. I love how honest they are and how kind of real they are and sensitive people they are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love that our leads are like middle-aged people, which is not something you get a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I guess Michael Mann plays around with that a lot. But then he goes to his father figure,
Yep.
because his other father figure is in the hospital, but we don't know that yet. And he talks to him at the diner, and he talks about wanting to have a son. And the guy goes, "Hoochie coo wham bam magic Sam." That's a direct citation. Um, and says, "Yeah, you have." That's the thing. People in this movie talk in the most insane fashion, but
Mm-hmm.
it just works.
It
So
works.
Hoochie Wham Bam Magic Sam, and he has a son.
Yeah.
Um,
Where the baby came
which
from, we don't know.
Yeah, well, they came from this mom that wanted to abandon her child, I guess, but
But maybe not. No, I'm
maybe some
kidding.
weird shit that Leo is up to, because that guy is a scumbag.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it. What's your next note?
Um, my next note was just he is so goddamn hairy. Sorry, that's just so random. Like, cause because he's walking out on the beach and he has his little pants rolled up and like he's having a good time, and his wife, he has the baby, and he's so hairy. Jesus, his chest is so hairy.
Not a lot of Hollywood actors can get away with that much hair on their body.
Real,
But he
real.
pulls it off. I I was gonna say this later, but I guess I'll say it now. He is the model, the oh wait 1 second, I'll find where James Caan is the golden standard for men with receding hairlines.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's he just pulls it. We'll get to the I want and also the costume design and all that, which is a giant part of this movie, and I love the costume design here and how the color, like sometimes they wear black and sometimes they wear white, and it's like meaningful, especially in the beach scene. With it's just really great. The costume design is amazing, and it's done by Armani, um, which is cool,
Wow,
which is a cool little
Armani.
tidbit. But yeah, the costume design is amazing. He is a hairy man.
He is very hairy.
But James Caan pulls every outfit off and everything off in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to be him when I grow up. Like that character, just not a thief.
Right, right, right.
Like a fisherman maybe.
You want to have his coolness factor though.
Yeah. His coolness factor, his vibe is amazing. Um so he goes to the hospital, and his actual father, who's not actually his father,
Mm-hmm.
Okla, passes away, who's played by Willie Nelson, the country singer. Hello,
Right?
walls. Hello. You know it?
I don't know any of his songs, but like I know who he is.
A funny tidbit about Willie. Have you seen Parks and Recreation? There's this scene where Ron Swanson, who's everyone's favorite character, wears headphones during a meeting, and he's like, "I just put on Willie Nelson and chill." And
Oh,
he's Ron Swanson's a Willie Nelson fan, and
well,
I
of
don't know if this
course.
is Willie Nelson's only film role, but he did pretty good. That scene in the jailhouse was pretty intense between
Mm-hmm.
them. They were so close,
They
like
were.
physically,
Yeah.
which was like, what's going on? But I
I
guess
thought they
they're
were gonna
just very
kiss
close
for a second.
through the glass. They're just very close, like emotionally.
Yeah,
Because he is a father to him, and he passes away, and it's very sad,
of
in my
course.
opinion. He lost his father figure, replaced by Leo, the worst man on earth, pretty much. It's
Ugh.
a tragedy. And then they sit next to each other in this Chinese restaurant, and they decide that they named the baby David and all
Mm-hmm.
that, and he honors his father. And I think it's a really cute little and tragic little subplot that really affects his character.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
What's with horrible characters being named Leo? Jesus.
What other
In
what
Twin
other
Peaks.
horrible? Oh right. Right.
Oh, Leo.
Leo, Leland,
Yeah. L name. Okay, but
Leland.
Leland was a different story. Let's not get into that.
Right, but he is okay.
Yeah.
Um, L names, J names, we know to stay away. Um, Name that starts with Mel, Mel Gibson.
Oh, okay.
Meli, none there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's right. Um, so stuff is ramping up because a heist scene is about to happen, and it's very famous, and I
Yes.
love it. I love
Yes.
the heist scene. Um, I wrote in my Letterboxd review last time I watched it, the heist scene to this movie is kind of like the Dance of the Red Shoes to the Red Shoes.
Oh, that's a
You
good
know what I mean?
comparison. Yeah, yeah, I totally
Because
get what you mean.
it's
Yeah,
so cool. So yeah, the heist scene.
yeah.
Um, shall we shall we get shall we get to it? Well,
Let's
okay,
get
wait.
to it.
Wait. So sorry. Before that, there's a scene on the highway before they arrest him and beat him up. There's a scene on the highway where they do like a 360 like camera movement, and it's insane. I don't know if you noticed that. It's like we follow a bus and then we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
the I don't know they do that. Also that scene, by the way, that they do arrest him and beat him up is pretty brutal. Like
It
that
is
was a pretty
brutal.
brutal whacking that he just
Yeah.
hooked up. And I
No,
love
it,
the
it
dialogue
is.
that the police officers like attack him with. It's very funny. It's kind of a funny scene as well. All of the dialogue in this scene is all in this movie is can also be really funny. Just depends what mood you're in. Um, I'll say because it's very 80s, it's very Chicago,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also very syncretic and weird. Um, there's I don't remember the specific line, but one of the police officers says, "I in another life I would have liked you. Go to baseball games, go to the
Yeah, yeah.
very funny. Um, so yeah, that jail scene is brutal, but he gets out and then he goes through the with the heist. How are you feeling? Because this heist scene again is a very long one, 10 or 15 minutes. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know. And it's very procedural. But what were you thinking? Because I think it's very well directed
Well,
and brilliant.
I loved how it had like there was no talking.
Yeah,
I loved that. And I loved how it just focused on the sounds of it just focused on the sounds of the like movie itself, like of the machinery drilling and like the sparks and all that. And I
yeah.
think it really conveys how important it is. Like I think the silence just really shows like this is a life or death situation. This is an extremely important job we're working right now, and like any sort of talking, any sort of sound other than the ones coming from the machines of us opening the safe, vault, whatever you want to call it, it could
It's
kill
okay. It's
us.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
6:30. but still.
Um,
Um,
like
yeah,
it's
it's a
just
very
so
tense. It's very tense as well. I
yeah.
you don't really see him heisting till
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Like this is the heisting, which is comes with the comparison to the Red Shoes because you don't see Victoria Page really dancing until that ballet scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he goes in. Things have been ramping up to this. We've been periodically visiting the workshop again. Another procedural specific thing which I really like. We go to see the process and how they're making the equipment to do the heist. And there's this little dialogue about the T-shirts with the scientist wearing a white suit, and it's very funny. Um, but a lot has built up to the scene, and it's such an endorphin like rush and
Mm-hmm.
release. And I don't know how they did this because it seems like all practical effects. It looks wonderful. Well, it is practical effects. I don't know, like, because they actually melt metal. There's actual like footage of melting metal, and I don't know if they did that or if they had a special crew or like stunt people do something with high
I'm
heat
sure
and
they
how
had to
they.
have some special crew do it because
Because if the
melting metal's no
special crew was
joke.
in there wearing special suits, then the whole staff needs to wear that, and then you need some kind of protective gear for the camera because you're using a very expensive film camera, and you don't want the. I was just worried about their camera, really. First time I was watching. But the
Of
high scene,
course.
it's wonderful. And then after that grimy heist scene, you see him all mussed up. He's taking off his thing. He pulls out a cigarette. It's very endorphin rush.
Yep.
And then you got this big beat drop in the score, and we go to the ocean, and everything is good in life, and it's this big endorphin rush. The flowing waters of the ocean, and they're wearing white now, all of them, and he's there with his wife and his brother and his brother's girlfriend and pure love, flowing water,
Yep.
receding hairlines. It's wonderful.
It's lovely.
Um,
Bare, hairy chest out.
bare, hairy chest. Yeah.
Love it.
Um, it's just such a beautiful, blissful scene, and it kind of makes you feel like everything is gonna suck from now on. You know what I mean? It's one of those scenes where it's like things are not gonna continue
Things
in
will
this
not
world.
go
It's
back
not.
to this.
You can tell
Things.
from the beginning that this is a tragedy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Especially with that
mm-hmm.
zoom out in the fireplace. That's like the first indicator, in my opinion. That's like
Yeah.
this is serious. Um,
Also, I do want to
so
say that this is so
yeah.
random, but throughout the movie, I was like, this guy looks like someone. Like James Caan looks like someone I know. And basically, he looks like a grown-up version of my friend's boyfriend.
Do I
Like,
know them?
no, no, you don't. Um, they don't go to our school. Different school. But um yeah, I was like, this guy looks like someone. And then I realized it's like, oh my God, it looks like her boyfriend in like 30, 40 years. Like it's so weird. Like,
Oh no.
yeah, yeah. Like I can't tell her that to her
Well,
face though, because she'd be
no,
so offended.
that's no, that's good though. James Caan's a good-looking man, very stylish as well.
Well, for us,
I don't know
well,
why.
for you it might be, yeah, but not for her.
I guess he doesn't fit to nowadays standards of what's attractive within our world.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah. So then he goes to Leo to collect all his money, and he doesn't get all his money, and then the whole thing goes to shit.
yep,
And Leo doesn't give him his money. He needs to
yep,
do another job. Leo's an asshole. We've known this from the beginning. He's not someone to be trusted. He kills his brother.
yep,
Everything's going downhill.
yep.
And then they chloroform him, and he wakes up, and this wonderful POV shot from the bottom that spins around
Hmm.
as Leo's talking down to him
Yep,
is
yep.
very like the lowest point of the film, really.
And he's like,
Very
he's like, I own your child. You think you don't? He's like, your child's on loan. I was like, oh my
I
God.
know he says, I will send your wife to the streets to be gang banged by a bunch of black people or
Yeah,
something. What was
yeah.
it? It was insane.
No, he used a slur. He used a
I
slur.
I feel like he used many slurs. I mean, slurs are used in this movie. Like there's
Yeah,
pretty casual and like
it is. Yeah, lots of
interface with
slurs
slurs
used.
sometimes. But it's the 80s in Chicago, and these characters, make
Hmm.
sense. But very intense scene, and then he goes home and bangs his wall on the mirror, and there's a freeze frame, which I
Mm-hmm.
just love because it. I love the use of freeze frame. There's only one freeze frame in this movie, and it feels so um
Special.
like
I don't
freezing. You know what I
know.
mean? He's like
Yeah.
he's like stuck in his place, and he must revert to his old ways where nothing matters in order to get out of it.
Hmm.
Um, and then I do you have any more notes before the ending?
No,
Because
I think we should get to it.
what'd you think about this ending? What'd you think?
So, uh, crazy, crazy. Can I just start off with saying that was crazy? Like, oh my God. Like, I'm honestly still kind of shocked about it. Like, again, beautiful use of silence, especially towards like the very
Oh
end.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's so tense. It's so freezing.
And then also I was just talking about not only silence, but also just the music.
It's so good. It's
So
just
good.
such a good
So
score.
good.
It I don't want to say it carries the movie, but the movie wouldn't be the same
No,
without
for
this
sure.
score.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
just, any good score does that. Like Oppenheimer, for
Yeah.
example, which is I was just thinking about it because it's probably winning Best Original Score this year. It wouldn't be the same without
Nope.
Ludwig Garrison's. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean that the movie relies on it. It's
Yeah, of
just saying
course.
that is like makes the movie really.
Hmm.
So
But like,
I would say it's kind of similar in that they're both so present.
yeah,
Not that
of
I'm the biggest
course.
Oppenheimer fan of all times, but just think it's great.
Well, yeah, and then obviously like in this part we kind of see him slip back into his I don't give a fuck about anything, life doesn't matter, and he
Yeah.
lives life. I think this was mo more dangerous than any heist he's ever done, and like he really said, I'm gonna go balls to the wall crazy, and I'm gonna get out of
He
here.
just burns everything down.
Yeah.
He destroys all. He
Hmm.
walks alone.
Yeah.
And he kills his boss, and he kills all of his boss's associates, and his
His
brother is dead.
henchmen.
He kills the bar that he picks his various phone calls off. He burns
Yeah.
down his company. He burns down his home. He sends his wife away. He lets go of his child. And that's really it. That's the tragedy. And then he walks away.
He really
And it's
said He really said, I'm gonna destroy all evidence of my work, but I'm also just gonna
but it's also like a
send away who I love.
philosophical, like emo. It's like
Yeah,
an emo, like philosophical, like reasoning.
yeah.
Um, I love the cut to black. I
Oh,
don't usually like these dramatic cut to blacks, but it works
no,
so
it
well
it works here.
because
This
it's just
this is where it
perfectly
hits.
timed with the music and the emotion, and it's so good. And like, what else do you need from like an ending that's so dopamine and so sad and so
You
this movie's sad and
you
like
need nothing else. Let's just put it that way.
so
Oh,
that's
so good.
really all my thoughts. It's really all my thoughts.
Let me see. Do I have anything else?
Do you have any other notes?
No, I touched on all my notes. Yeah, and again, that ending just really
It
punches you in
really
the
gives a
gut.
punch. It's
Yeah.
it's really one of those punchy endings that are hard to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is like should be more famous. I feel like this movie just in general should just be more famous.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
it's pretty
surprised.
well known within the like Criterion cinephile world, but
Of
it's like one of the
course.
most entertaining to a mainstream um from a mainstream like sensibilities and stuff, one of the most entertaining art house movies there is. And I don't know, you know it's a classic, but it
Yeah.
should be known as more of a fortified
Mm-hmm.
thing. I feel
Of course.
should definitely go up there with all the fame, like
Well,
where
people, oh,
Heat is, where Thief should be,
yeah. Do you think, have you
because of
seen
Michael Mann.
Heat? Okay. I was gonna ask you which one you think is better, but
Have you seen?
no, I haven't seen Heat.
Okay, well, I'm planning to watch that soon. My friend said it's really good as well.
Okay.
Similar, I guess.
I know
But
it
this
kind
is
of
Michael
blew up.
Mann's directorial debut,
Yes, that I knew. That
which
I
is
knew.
insane.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Definitely among the best directorial debuts I've seen. I would also count, if we're already talking about this year, Celine's Song and all that.
Of
But
course. Of course.
it's a sign of a great filmmaker coming up. Um, I haven't seen Ferrari, but
Yeah.
might be cool.
Well, clearly he
I'll
knows how to
see
use
if I watch
sound.
it.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. But this is great. Should we get to ratings?
Hell yeah. I think I know what your rating is, but
Okay, my rating. Well, okay. Acting's amazing, perfect, technically stunning, visually stunning, lyrical, kind of poetic and insane, and also very procedural and action packed, but also really character focused. And it just fits all of my interests when it comes to movies
hmm
like what else would you need for a movie like this? It hits like every audience. Some people that are interested in more drama characters would be interested in this. Some people that are more interested in action packed, operatic stories. Some people that are more interested in visual storytelling and poeticism through different visual symbols and
of
imagery
course.
would be able to grasp this, and I just love it. I could endlessly watch this any
Sorry.
any day of the
Sorry.
week. I love it. Makes me want to go live in Chicago.
Of course.
5 out of 5. I'm giving out these fives left and right last few
Yeah.
weeks.
Yoav loves giving out his 5 stars.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4.5.
Okay. I anticipated a
Mm-hmm.
4.5.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Not because, again, not because anything is
There's nothing
necessarily
wrong with the
wrong
movie.
with it. It's
It's
just,
a five has to be a five.
yeah. And also
I know
because,
your motto.
yeah. Also because, I will say that at one point I was like, this reminds me a little of Die Hard, and then that
Oh, that kind of just ruined it for me. Now I want to give it a half a star.
yeah.
Stop.
Um,
It's not like Die Hard
no,
at
no,
all.
it's not. It's
If you
not like
haven't
Die
if you haven't
Hard.
seen the movie, don't think
It's definitely not like Die Hard, but like just for some reason that popped in my head and I was like, "Oh, okay.
that.
Now we're here."
That yeah. The Die Hard for Criterion fans.
Yay!
Um so yeah. There's our ratings, four and a half
There's
and
our
five.
ratings.
And I'm excited to see what Meli will follow this up with. Well, yeah, I get why you would give a 4.5 to any movie after watching Firewalk with me. I feel
That
like you
too.
can't,
Yeah.
like, as long as that's still fresh in your mind, no mo I remember after watching Firewalk with me, I had trouble giving things 5 stars.
hmm
Like, it's just one of those movies where it's like, wow,
It'll just hit you
like
that hard.
it doesn't get much better than this
Right.
filmmaking wise. So, but yeah, Thief is really that good.
hmm
Check it out if you haven't seen it. What is what is your pick? Come on.
Let's get to it, huh?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Okay.
Nothing gets you endorphin rush except for the ending of Thief and the next pick of Meli's pick.
So, basically, this movie. So, okay. This is very different from Thief from what I can tell.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
it's literally like an hour and 20 minutes, so it's a short one. I picked a
Oh,
short one on purpose
nice.
though. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Um, so, I went from picking very Linden, very long to very short.
Have you seen it?
No, neither of us have seen
Okay.
this movie.
Okay.
Um, and this might be Yoav's first movie of this director.
Huh.
It might be. Please correct me
Is
if
it
I'm wrong.
yours?
No, it's
It's
not.
not your first foray into the
No.
works of
Into the works of. Yeah, okay. So the pick for next week is the 1983 movie directed by David Cronenberg, Videodrome.
Ah! Oh.
I this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be
Oh.
crazy.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh
yeah.
no. Oh
Oh yeah.
no.
Oh yeah. I know
Oh
this movie.
no.
I know this movie is crazy. So
I thought you were like 90-minute breezy watch. I was expecting like a quiet, like subtle piece.
you know
Damn.
me, I can never go subtle.
Going far to the deep end. Um okay, wait. So Videodrome is if you guys haven't heard of it, and well, I can't believe she picked this. Um, I'm very excited. Well, yeah, great pick. It's 88 minutes long. It stars James Woods. Um, the tagline is first it controls your mind, then it destroys your body. As the president of a trashy TV channel, actually, I don't want to even know what this movie's about, to be honest. I know like partially that's like about this channel called Videodrome, where it's like some crazy kind of pornography kind of thing. And then he
Yeah.
gets there's a very famous scene where he gets sucked into his television, but that's all I know.
I'm not saying I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So what was the reasoning behind where you're just like thinking, oh,
Basically,
because you watched Crash this
well,
week?
because I watched Crash, but also like I
No, I
didn't,
haven't seen a Cronenberg
yeah,
flick.
yeah, I didn't know what to pick, and then I was going through your watch list, um,
Oh no.
and I was like looking and looking, and then I think I saw Videodrome there, and then I was like, oh my God, like I want to watch this movie too. So then I just picked it, and I was like, it's short, um,
Oh
it'll be an
God.
interesting thing to talk about. I'm excited. I'm very
Oh
excited.
God. Oh God. I've heard this is really fucked up. Like genuinely fucked up.
Yeah, so I have heard as well.
Oh no. Okay. Shocking. It's described as shocking.
Yeah,
Shocking film. We'll see. As someone that hates television, this might meet my expectations.
we'll see.
That's okay. We'll see. I'll probably have to watch this with someone. I'm scared. Guys, I this podcast has made me feel like such a pussy when it comes to movies.
Well,
Okay, we'll see.
what can I say? Anyways, yeah, that's it.
Great. Sounds good.
Sounds
See you
good.
guys next week with Videodrome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, watch it and form your own opinion
It's about to
before
go
we talk about it.
crazy.
Um, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thanks for
Mm-hmm.
watching Thief. If you haven't seen Thief, we're gonna have to steal from you
Yes. Ooh, I'm
ten
so tired
dollars.
now.
$10 each. We'll let Meli take a nap maybe before school starts. Um, thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for watching. Watch Videodrome, and we'll see you next week.
See you in the next one.
Our little baddies.
Bye.
Bye,
Little
baddies.
baddies. Bye.
Oh,
Oh,
bye, baddies.
bye.